All right, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Sean Callan.
Here.
Julie Chetney.
Here.
Tom Chiappa.
Here.
David Christofoli.
Here.
Jim McKenzie's here. Christian Norfleet.
Here.
Sean Onmock.
Yep.
And Amanda Connolly.
Here.
All right, if we could stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I do not believe anybody signed up for the floor of the public, correct? There we go. So we have our acknowledgements with Julie.
Okay. We're going to start with the high school tonight. On June 7th, the senior ball was held at the Lake Ontario Event and Conference Center. It was a beautiful evening, and all the students had a fantastic time. The OHS Merit Award Ceremony and Super Bucks was held on June 12th. Additionally, the awards and scholarships ceremony was the same evening. Many students were acknowledged for their efforts and academics. Thank you to all of our scholarship donors, and congratulations to all of our award winners. Following the ceremony, the seniors enjoyed each other's company at the annual Senior Sunset at Brightbeck Park. Yearbooks were distributed, food was provided, and the event of the evening was the senior slideshow. It was a great opportunity to have one last night together as a class. Also at the high school on the 12th, Mr. Geld and Leonard L. attended the Oswego County Legislature meeting where the Envirothon students were acknowledged for their first place finish. A proclamation was read recognizing their achievement. Congratulations to the Envirothon team. On June 13th, City held their CARE graduation in Mexico. Congratulations to all of our CARE graduates. Now out at Manetto, our fourth grade field trip to the Erie Canal Museum in Syracuse, New York was an unforgettable adventure filled with hands-on learning and discovery. Students explored the only remaining Waylock building in the United States, climbed aboard a life-size canal boat replica, and experienced what life was like for people traveling the canal in the 1800s. Interactive exhibits helped everyone understand how the Erie Canal transformed New York State and the nation, making history come alive in a fun and engaging way. The trip sparked curiosity and excitement about our state's past, and everyone left with a new knowledge and great memories.
Arr.
Oh, dope. This is my sidekick over here.
Arr.
Our young Buccaneers at Manetto Elementary had a rip-roaring good time at today's Pirate Games field day. We scaled mighty inflatables, dashed in relay races wearing pirate garb, took a breather with some yoga, and we had a swashbuckling race with cups of water in hand. That I would like to see.
'Twas a day full of fun for all hands on deck. Thank you. Okay,
I mean,
fine.
really. It's almost summer, guys. Fitzhugh Park. Fitzhugh Park students have had an opportunity to trade their chance cards that they earned for the following school-wide Leader in Me and PBIS, Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports Expectations, for a chance to win a donated raffle basket. Winners were selected and announced at the end of our Leader in Me Assembly in May, and we'll be doing it once again at our last Leader in Me Assembly in June. Fitzhugh Park wants to thank our staff and community members for donating a variety of items for our baskets. Our students are really looking forward to this and working hard to earn those chance cards. At the middle school, lots of fun pictures here. OMS 8th graders enjoyed their dinner dance. There was pizza, cookies, dancing, and photo opportunities. It was a wonderful night celebrating an end of the year at the end of their middle school. Which, a side note, I was really surprised that there was no cost to the students. Normally there has been. So I had to ask like 4 times, are you sure this doesn't cost money? So thank you to, I'm sure, the home and school and the middle school who helped. Student Council, thank you to the Student Council for that. Okay, the District Art Show. The Oswego City School District Art Show was on June 7th in SUNY Oswego's Tyler Art Gallery. Many family and friends attended to view their students' art projects from this school year. And in athletics, Even as the spring sports season winds down, the past week was a busy one for the athletic department. On June 11th, the athletes were celebrated at the annual award ceremony. This event, sponsored by the Buck Boosters, honored our senior athletes, congratulated our scholarship winners, and applauded our team honorees. Mr. and Mrs. Guido were named Fans of the Year. On Friday, June 13th, the OHS weight room was officially dedicated to Michelle Wink and renamed the Michelle Wink Athletic Training Facility. And great job with that, Sean. That was a really nice program. Short, sweet, but great tribute to Michelle. So, and that's it, I think. Yep.
Great. Thank you very much, Julie. Next, we have Board of Education. The first item is Heart of a Hero Award that we're presenting to Mr. Dylan Cohen. And so Dr. Kilmer has something here. Hi, Dylan.
Decisive response, commitment to student safety exemplify the highest standards of care and professionalism. Your actions not only prevented a tragedy, but also serve as an inspiring reminder of the vital role our bus drivers play in protecting and supporting our students every day. So please join me in. Thank you so much for your service. Appreciate it. We'll do a quick picture. Yeah. What do you want to do a picture? Right here. Right here is fine. It's fine. Like a yellow wall. Yeah.
Okay, next on the agenda under Board of Education are two items. One, we have a quick revision to the Board of Education meeting dates from the last meeting, and approval of the marching band trip next October. So if I can have a motion for items B and C, please.
I'll move.
I'll have Kristen and David seconded. Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have our superintendent's report with Dr. Kilmer.
Great, I'm just going to introduce our building principals. We have our second half of our building level action plan spring updates. So we have 4 principals here today to round out our presentations from our last time. So I will turn it over. I believe, Ms. Malloy, you are up first.
All right, I'll try to keep it under 5 for you. I'm going to set a tone tonight. So I had Ms. Schrader give you guys a little bit of a packet because I think visuals, there's so much going on there. You guys can kind of see like what we're doing here at Fitzhugh Park. So we're going to start with our first goal. It's under priority area of school culture and climate. Our goal was at FPS, we will foster a positive learning community where all members are supported academically, socially, and emotionally. And highlights from all of this, we have 4 bullets here. We used our measurable results assessment, which is from Leader and Me, and we remained consistent at about a 75, which is good. And I'll get into that in the next couple of slides about where we went up and down, maybe about a point or 2 in some areas, but overall it was pretty good and we remained consistent. All FPS students completed a leadership portfolio. Within that packet, Iris Stepian was very proud of her leadership binder and wanted to share what it looked like with you. And our kids keep these all year long, so there's a little example of what all of our kids do in keeping their leadership portfolio throughout the year. So enjoy that, and I want to thank Iris for being proud enough to share that with you guys tonight. Our Classroom Buddy program, it was a great way to build camaraderie and connections with our students and staff across grade levels. We're going to be doing it again next year. I put a little picture in there for you guys to see. And then our Staff Collective Responsibility Survey was another survey we did in 2024. It's based on our professional learning community framework, which all of our buildings are working on. And we use that survey to kind of see where areas where we are excelling and also areas where we can improve for next school year. On July 8th, I'll be meeting with my PLC Guiding Coalition to create our building goals for next year, and we will be using that staff collective responsibility survey to drive our building goals for next school year. So the MRA survey highlights, so within there, so who took the survey? 52 staff members at FPS. We had actually 52 FPS families as well, and all of our students in grades 4 through 6 took this survey. And there are 3 core categories within that survey. It's leadership, culture, and academics. And within those categories, we had some main categories and then some subcategories within those categories as well. So these are the areas where we shot up like a point or two within those things. The next one is areas of focus for next year. So again, these are the areas where we maybe went down a point or two. So again, we'll be using this survey data and outside of the staff collective responsibility survey too, to help guide our goals for next school year as well. All right. Okay, we are at goal number 2. How am I doing? Am I doing okay? We on time. Okay, thanks, Jackie. All right, so here we use DeForce 4 critical questions to help us, again, part of our PLC framework as well. And we use this to help our drive our data meetings and drive our summative assessment work. Our goal, again, was with ELA data, and we did pretty good in this category. Our ELA grade levels showed that 68% of all FPS students made adequate yearly growth using our beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of year data. Grades K through 2 met, and they blew it out of the water, actually. Our grades 3 through 6 are not met, so we can look at that and utilize that for next year to see where we can work to improve. So I think one of the areas with K through 2, what made us do so well is we tried a push-in model with our interventionists strictly at K through 2. We then moved to grade 3, and I think that really made all the difference in the world with our data. So we tried a little something different. We thought outside of the box. Our staff was on board with it, and we just went with it. And I really do think that's why our data was so good in this area. And I will say, looking at for next year, we met as the elementary team with Ms. Caldwell and talked about scheduling stuff. So a little bit more flexibility with our master schedule next year, which is great, will allow us to do a little bit more creative things with our interventions with ELA and math too, and our interventionists. So excited about that, and excited to see where we go next year. So again, at the beginning of the year, just to see our kindergarten started at 20, all of our kids, 29% were at or above benchmark. By the end of the year, 73% were above. It's great. Again, first grade, beginning of the year, 32 were only at above or benchmark, and at the end of the year, 62% of our kids were. And as you can see, second grade also made gains in that area. So that is a good thing. Okay, where are we? Okay, number 3, we were increasing our interactions and engagement with our families and community. Highlights for this was our monthly Leader of the Month assemblies, or Leader in Me assemblies. I want to thank Tim Barbeau, Beth O'Key, and Jake Herrick, who really worked really hard with our Leader in Me monthly assemblies. So we had 165 students recognized for Leader of the Month. 232 parents came. It's about 72%, which I thought was really great. It's getting our families back in the building. And then we had great Leader in Me nights. Our second one, unfortunately, was canceled due to weather, but we kind of revamped them this year, made them a little more interactive with our families, a little more fun, but with still the academic pieces of Leader in Me and the social emotional pieces. So we're looking forward to doing our, hopefully, 3 nights again next year as well. And our last goal here is our operational systems. We had 3 different kind of things we were focusing in on. The first one being combating chronic absenteeism. You'll see below there, as of last Tuesday, we were at 92.48% for last year. That's a little bit of a jump. That's pretty good for our building for the school year. I do want to thank the Board of Education for funding our SROs, Officer Miller has been a great resource to not only my building, but I know to Miss Egnor's building too. Also, we had Officer Haddock over from FLS come over to FPS too. So we're very grateful for their support. They're great community resources. Our kids love having them there, as do we. So I put a picture of Officer Miller with one of our students in there. And then lastly, I know Dr. Volkmer's done this too, but we also added in the FPS Links Hub. I put a paper copy of it, but you can see it's expanded from where we started. It's about 4 or 5 pages long, and it's been like a one-stop shop for our staff, and I think it's made us more efficient this year. So overall, FPS, I think we did a good job this school year. Thank you.
Hello, Board of Education. I'm Jenny Sullivan. I'm the principal of Manetto Elementary. I'm really pleased to be here tonight and share with you our continuing efforts to engage our families and our students in academic success and learning environments. I wanted you to know I'm so proud of our teaching staff at Manetto. They're devoted to our students and dedicated to their learning. And because of their commitment, I have some great data to share with you tonight. Okay. Or I will come back in a few minutes.
That was a great opening. Ditto for Kingsford Park. Well, I've got some information to share with you if I can do this right. All right. So our very first goal was about the school culture and climate. And as a community, it's important for us, for our students and staff, to feel efficacious and welcome. So we did a student survey. In the fall, you'll see the numbers for the fall are to the left, and then to the right are our spring responses. So these are some of the questions that we were asking our students. I am an important part of my school. There's at least one student who I think is my friend. There's at least one grown-up in the school who I trust. If I'm not sleepy in the morning, I look forward to coming to school. That's a good question to ask, right? Because if they're sleepy, they're not wanting to come. When something is hard, I know what to do to help myself. When something is hard, I can find someone who can help me. And when something is hard, I think if I don't give up, I will do better. So these are grades 2nd through 6th grade students who took the surveys, and those were the response numbers. So, there we go. Some student key takeaways from this. Over 80% of the students feel like they're an important part of the KPS consistently. And by the end of the school year, 93.4% of the students had at least one friend that they identified. Over 89% of the students felt they had at least one adult at KPS whom they trusted. Even with summer looming at this point of the school year, 67% of the students still look forward to coming to school each day. And when students are challenged with something hard to do, 89% of the students knew there was someone they could find to help them. So with the staff, because we also surveyed the staff, and for the one question that we asked for them, because there were a number of questions, but the one was, I enjoy working at KPS. The top graphic actually shows you the responses in the fall, and the one underneath is the responses in the spring. No, so you probably, I don't know if you can see it that well, but there were none on, I enjoy working at KPS was the first question. Yes, always is in blue, red is most days, and sometimes are yellow, with no, not often being green, and no, never in purple. Good news, no purple, no green. Everything was most, sometimes, or most days and always. One of the other questions that we had asked them was, I feel like an important member of my school community. That's for the efficacious portion. Again, the blue is yes, always. Most days is red. Yellow is sometimes. And there are no, not often, and no, not ever. One of the other goals that we had was that we were going to be implementing a new version of what our student-based intervention team would look like. We would normally, in years past, do a full day and pull staff members out to work with different teachers to come up with interventions for each of the students that the staff were bringing to the intervention team. I redesigned it so that way we were actually folding this in as part of our data team meeting, and we came out with some pretty good results. So these are the staff responses when we surveyed them about the change. Do they like the change? Do they not like the change? And what things could we improve upon? So when the staff was asked, a lot of the questions or the responses came up with less time out of the classroom, efficient, and it was data driven, a lot less subs needed, which was one of our goals, all grade level stakeholders working in concert for each student, access to learn the process and learn more about targeting interventions to students to help them do better. The smaller team was more appropriate and knowledgeable, allows for more students to enter SBIT, our student-based intervention process, as students who are not making progress are discussed at the data team meetings and considered for SBIT interventions. The process and data collection knowledge was shared across the entire group. And some constructive feedback that they gave us was that need to review the process with the whole staff to set expectations at the beginning. They wanted more information about that before those data teams started. Preparation for the meetings require more time for the recorders. What that really is that we have 2 people designated, one that records all the minutes for each of the interventions, because when we're recording this information, we talk about what's the frequency, who's doing the intervention, where was the baseline data, and then recording about how the students did, whether they made progress or not. All of those are put into minutes and then uploaded into School Tool, so that way, regardless of whether they're at KPS or if they go to FLS or wherever, they'd be able to pull up all of those minutes to be able to track whether a student was a part of a SBIT process. So they needed a little more time to be able to do that. That was a constructive feedback. Depending on the number of students in the data team, became mostly SBIT. That was something that was brought up. And the grade level meetings are needed with SBIT as part of the data team meetings. I had them on 2 separate days. There was a day that we spent for ELA data, another day that we spent for math data. If a student was being brought to the student-based intervention team for behavior, or if it was an initial meeting, that was at a separate time. What they're saying here as the constructive feedback was that during, our math day, they needed more time. I set aside 45 minutes for each grade level so that each grade level, all the 7 grade levels, would be able to meet during that day. They found it difficult to talk deeply about the data and still have time to do SBIT. So a lot of the data discussions ended up folding into our grade level team meetings, which brings me to the community connections one. Originally, I had put down for community connections that our grade level team was actually going to be working on a curricular list of expectations, things to share for families. Those grade level meetings actually needed to become part of our data. So we were talking more deeply about when we're doing intervention time, what are we doing with the homogeneous groupings that we've got in each of the classrooms? Who's going to specialists, who's not? What kinds of information are we going to be tracking for ELA, and what are we going to be tracking for math? So the family-friendly documents were not created this year, but it was good information, and we used the time frame that we had already set aside for grade level meetings to be able to further go into data. The last goal for KPS was about operational systems. I had shown you our previous version of what that dashboard would look like. It is now a couple pages long, and each of those areas are hot links so that the teachers would be able to just click, take them right to the document instead of trying to search for it within Google Drive. I've even put all of my staff meeting presentations in there, all hyperlinked, so that staff would have access to them if they missed for whatever reason. And thank you.
Hello. All right, so as a reminder, this slide shares the 4 goals that we've been diligently working on since September. Our first goal is focused on our school culture and climate. At Manetto, we use our Manetto way to drive everything that we do. It's how we build connections to our school community, connections to each other, and connections to our families. The Manetto way is shared traits and goals that we all know and live by every day at school. And I'm happy to report that all of our students are able to state our Manetto way motto, which is, we are respectful and responsible problem solvers who are safe at school. Attendance is also part of our first goal. Each day, we analyze our school tool attendance and work with families to problem solve ways to get their kids to and from school. Teachers communicate with families on a regular basis, and this regular communication definitely assisted in the improvement of our chronic absenteeism. Our school counselors are amazing people. They work directly with parents and offer them real advice and solutions to support getting their children to school every day. This includes identifying an obstacle that might be in the way of getting their kids to school and then working directly with the families or community involvement to help them get the kids to school. And our data shows that we've increased our regular attendance. Our goal 2. Goal 2 is focused on our students' success academically, and we picked a reading goal around reading fluency. I will say our building reading coach, Stephanie Nolf, has been instrumental in helping me develop the goals and find strategies and communicate with the teachers, but also to work directly with the teachers in their classrooms. So in order to understand the students' reading fluency, at the beginning of the year, we use data to drive all of our conversations. We meet monthly at our data meetings, and we monitor and develop strategies to help all of our students, and we're definitely focused on the students who might have some gaps. Amplify and iReady programs have proven to be instrumental in helping all of our students with this academic success. And then we built in some other more fun and celebratory strategies also. So I'll highlight our Book Buddy is where we pair different classrooms together and they spend time reading together. So not only does that give the kids extra time to practice reading, but it also helps build a peer-to-peer connection. And the kids really loved having that time together. And then throughout the year, we had different activities and events around books, book talks, interviewing kids about great books that they've read, slam poetry. We did a Renaissance fair around books, and all of those are definitely helping our kids want to read and improving their reading skills. So here's a little data for you. This graph shows our reading growth over this past school year. Just keep in mind as you're looking at that, the numbers are small, that green and blue are good. So you can see the top line are the reading scores at the beginning of the year. The middle line is our halfway part, and the end of the line, the bottom row is our end of the year data. And you can see that by the end of the year, we had a great improvement on kids reading on or above grade level, and we're really proud of that. So it translated to 63.1% of our students reading on or above grade level. I know some of you like to look at a pie chart. So this is a pie chart that shares the same information. Blue of any shade is really good. So with all of this data in our fingertips, we are able to more appropriately and much better perform and develop differentiated lessons and strategies to help all of the kids learn how to read. When I look at this, we still have a lot of work to do, but I feel that we're trending in the right direction, and I hope someday in the near future to be able to say 100% of our students are reading on grade level. So although it was not an original goal for Manetto, I really wanted to share our math scores also. We had really great improvement in math growth. Our teachers here, again, we meet monthly and talk about our student math goals and the strategies that we use to help kids learn and make sense of numbers. This graph shows that 100% of our students made significant growth in math over the school year, and we now have over 60% of our students on or above grade level in math. Goal 3 was focused on enhancing our communication and more thoughtfully engaging families in our educational programs. I'm happy to report that 95% of our classrooms communicated bi-weekly with their student families. They used parent square messages. They sent calendars, activity lists, pictures of the kids doing fun things, all of those different ways to communicate. The parents really enjoyed receiving this communication, and it was really helpful to know that we have 100% of our families on Parent Square and using that information every day. Each quarter, we developed parent newsletters that focused on the science of reading. The 4 documents were sent home with the report cards in a printed fashion and also shared through Parent Square, and I gave all of you a copy of those newsletters. Throughout the school year, our families were invited to several different events. We had almost one event every month. We had great attendance at each of those evening events, and we did a couple of the events during the school day also. And finally, our fourth goal centered on our operational systems and creating a more effective way to communicate with each other in the school. And so, like some of the other elementary buildings, I created a dashboard thinking that that would kind of house all of our information. We quickly discovered Manetto is not a dashboard type school. We love our shared drive. And so I have kind of a clip out picture of what our shared drive looks like. That's just a small sample of what's in there. There's a lot of folders, but every single folder has everything that they need at their fingertips, whether it's a schedule, important information from the district, some information about our school. There's best practices around reading instruction, math instruction, report card data, lots of ideas of how to help kids at school, morning meeting ideas. And I know that all of our teachers, this is where they go to find information. So our goal next year will be to continue to update this and make sure it's effective and efficient and has the most updated data that we have. So that's all I have for you tonight. I just wanted to say thank you so much for having us here. It's a pleasure to speak with all of you, and thank you for supporting our schools.
Good evening. I am Amy Godkin. I am at Oswego Middle School, and I'm excited to be here as well. And I am going to do my best to keep it as short and sweet as I can. I look at this year as a rebuilding year, so being new and a new leader in a building, it's really just getting to know our students and our staff and our families, and really kind of doing an overall assessment of what we need and where do we go from here. So just, again, looking at the 4 areas that we were focused on, we'll get into each one individually. So for our school culture and climate, each team at OMS has a color. So we have 5 different teams, and we've designated colors to each team. Our student council was generous enough to purchase a t-shirt for each student in the building in their team color. So when we have spirit days, the students all have something to wear, and everybody has something with a logo on it. This is obviously increased students being involved with a competitive nature. It isn't as polished as we'd like it to be, but it was a start, and it was something that we can build upon, and we're excited for next year. We have an entire committee. So far, I have 30 teachers on that committee next year that are really going to focus on what are we doing for our students to encourage them and celebrate them each and every day. And we'll be focusing on really getting that school spirit involved with our students. Our SBIT team and our Guiding Coalition teams are finalizing our consistent expectations to be posted. One of the things we noticed is walking around the middle school, there was a lot of messages, but not a clear message of who we are and what we stand for. And there's an expectation when we're in middle school that the students should know what to do, but we're finding that they don't always have that information, and we haven't explicitly taught that. So we're going to back up a little bit. We're going to tighten down what we do to teach these expectations, reteach as necessary, and make sure our signage and our expectations are clear and all students and staff know what those are. We also noticed that we had a lot of inconsistencies between teams, between teachers, and that leaves for a lot of gray area. And any of you that work with teenagers know that gray area and loopholes, they run. So we're trying to clean that up a little bit. We do have bucks, and again, the positive incentives are there, but we needed more organization with that to really make that effective. We did have Home and School donate Stanley Cups, which was, I think, last board meeting, I sent a picture of that, which really did incentivize a lot of our students to earn bucks for doing the right thing, just for being good students and doing what was expected. We were able to raffle those off. We also have consistent character ed themes with the high school. So I've worked with Raina to connect with her so that we are teaching the similar expectations that will carry on to the high school. And Tully's partnered with us for rewards for our students, and obviously communication with our families as well. Student success. When we really started digging into student success, we noticed that our data seems to be it moves. We have stuff to celebrate, but it was very flat. And what we're realizing is that our schedule was really preventing us for servicing the students that needed the support, but it also was not allowing us to have the time built in to really reflect on what students need and how do we address it. So we definitely prioritized the students that were below the 20th percentile to receive intervention as best as we could where their schedule allowed. This leads to another thing that often meant that they were missing out on special areas. So there was no art, music, technology. So students that struggled the most were taking everything that they might engage in and taking that away to give them those supports. So we have rebuilt a schedule numerous times, and we have something that we think will work where all students will be able to participate in special areas next year. So I'm really excited about that. 40% of our 7th grade students achieved grade level status by June, and 37% of our 8th grade students received that as well. We'd like that number to obviously be much higher than that, but grade level status, again, remember, means where they all should be, and we have some students that are significantly behind, so we'll take the wins where we have. The new schedule allows for 250 students a day to receive intervention, where currently we have about 85 students that are able to receive that help. So reorganizing and prioritizing so we can achieve and reach more students that need. With attendance, we've created consistent absentee letters for each threshold. So if they've missed 10 days, 15 days, et cetera, our guiding coalition and our team guidance have worked really hard to identify those students who are on the threshold, making home visits. Our social worker, home and school liaison is an absolute godsend for us and makes parent calls, goes out and visits, not even opposed to knocking on the door and bringing the kid to school multiple times a week. And once we get them in the door, that's step one. And then what can we do from there to engage the students in learning? So I've been fortunate to have some opportunities to be flexible, to find some ways that we can engage our students to get them in the door. That's first and foremost. And then once we have them there, what can we do from there? So our average attendance rate right now is running at 90% for our 7th grade and 89.72. We'd like that to be 95% or better, but that is all students. So that is including suspended students that are maybe participating in tutoring, maybe not, or students that are at homebound or are on medical leave. So that's just the entire building as a whole. Obviously, with data, you can manipulate that and make that look better, but this is us as we are, and this is our starting point to where we can go better. We have parent meetings for all at-risk students, including principal contracts, where every 2 weeks we meet with a student and with their parents to talk about their academic as well as their attendance and well as their behavior to make sure we have a plan in place that works. Our guiding coalition met yesterday, but it met monthly all year. And when we looked at this data yesterday, they're really instrumental in how do we go forward with the 4 pillars of a PLC. And so basically, we know what the students we want them to know, and we know what we're doing with that, but what happens when they don't? And that's kind of where we're falling apart. So it's how do we utilize our team meetings, our guiding coalition meetings to really come up with a plan to address the students that need more support. And one of the big things that came out of it was the schedule. And how do we maximize the time that we have with students? Because sending it home isn't going to always give us the results that we need. And then our SBIT team is looking a little differently. We're currently doing a book study looking at student behavior very similar to academics. So what happens when a student gets in trouble, and then what happens between that and suspension. Suspension doesn't always yield the results. It doesn't yield in changing behavior all the time. So what do we do differently to try to correct that and reteach that and engage kids back into appropriate behavior? So we're excited that this team is going to be doing some professional development this summer and really digging deeper into what does that look like and how do we support our students academically and behaviorally. Because as we know, the behavior issues sometimes get in the way of those academics. Just a little bit of our data. So what you'll notice on the top bar is our most recent, whereas green and dark green are where we want students to be. Our yellow is where students are still a little bit below, and then our red and dark striped red are the students that are far below grade level. You'll notice there's growth, and we're celebrating growth, but we still have some work to do. So 11%, I want to go backwards. We always achieve like our high achieving. I want to go to our lowest of our low. 11% of our students in 7th grade that were 3 grade levels below or behind have moved up a grade level. So while that might not seem like a big deal, it is for us. That's a huge win, especially as the kids get older, to start closing that gap. And 5% of our 8th grade students have moved as well. So we always talk about our students that are on grade level and students that are close that are meeting it, but we're talking about those lower kids that we're really making some movement with, as well as keeping our students learning and growing. But our data can be better, and we know that, and so we're hopeful with this new schedule those items will change. Community connections. How do we engage our families in the use of technology and communication? 99% of our families are connected to Parent Square. The one family that really keeps popping up over and over does not have internet, so they don't have the capabilities, and they do not have a phone service right now. So we are working with our home and school liaison to see how we can support that family different. Weekly family, I communicate weekly with our OMS family update, just what's going on, different events, different links, anything from our character ed to upcoming events, sporting events, etc. We utilize our Smart Pass, and that data from that we utilize in our parent meetings to discuss, hey, your child is making about 75 passes a week to go to the bathroom. We noticed this, and how can we address this? Our family vape night was the first time that we did this. It wasn't well attended, but we are going to incorporate that into our 7th grade orientation. So we're excited for that in the fall, really to educate our families that, you know, I'm immersed in it because I see it every day, but many people don't know what to look for and what it's like. And so our Farnham counselor has a wonderful presentation that she works with our families. Incoming student orientation, we're excited about that, bringing our 7th graders in and giving them the lay of the land, but also giving them the opportunity to explore our school and ask questions from our team. We had our open house and family connections, brought in outside resources for that. OMS and OHS had a technology at night where we had technology staff on hand to help connect our families with Parent Square and School Tool. And there's information from both of those that we have on hand if families need help connecting. And we worked really hard to update our student handbook and course offerings for the incoming year. That will also be something that students will have access to on a daily basis. So we're excited for that. And then our operational systems, obviously, you know, how do we increase family involvement in community events, and how do we increase our resources? We obviously have blessings in a backpack. Our home and school was over the top this year for really supporting families. If I called them and said, hey, we have a child that needs a pair of sneakers by noon, there was a pair of sneakers. It was absolutely fantastic. We did some holiday support, not only with food items, but with having gifts for students if they needed to or chose to give to their families. So we had a little holiday shopping. It was very adorable. I'll invite all of you to come and witness that. All the tchotchkes that the kids were taking home, maybe to you. Sometimes they even take the ones donated. It's great. We have digital copies for our families unable to attend, and then our building hub is up and running for our staff information, which dashboard hub, whatever you want to call it, I think we all have kind of created that. So on the left is an example. What you'll notice on the top, it says fill our bucket. So each week our staff can click on that and nominate each other for things that they do. Shout out for helping a kid in the hallway. Thank you to the wonderful musical team for putting on the show. Just another way to fill up our buckets at the end of a week for our staff and for our support staff as well. And then you'll see at the top it says final exam schedule. It's the June schedule, so there's a lot of changing parts that are happening. So that's all on there too, so staff can go there at one place. And then it's links to everything that we do, and it's updated all the time. So I don't know where the schedule is, whatever the case may be. And then that on the right is an example of the weekly update that goes home on Parent Square to families. Here's a list of what's going on. Here's a list of events, and another one's going home for the rest of the year later tonight. So that is what I have. I'm looking forward to next year to have even better things yet to come. So thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, everybody. Very much appreciate that. Dan, board members have any questions? Or?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say thank you for putting those presentations together. And I think back about, I don't know when you guys first came in at the very beginning of the school year, and time flies, but every couple weeks, I know for the past 2 years, we've asked you guys for information, what's going on in your buildings, to kind of share with our community the positive things that you do. But like and I regret that a couple weeks ago I didn't say the same thing to the other building principals, but when I sit here tonight, and I see all the things that you guys are doing and the impact that you're having in your buildings, I'm really proud to be a board member of the Oswego City School District. And it's just amazing what happens like every single day. We don't get to hear it enough. Like if I have only one child left in the district and he's in the high school. So these touch points, when we get to hear from you, they're very important, because when we leave a board meeting and we want to speak on behalf of the Oswego City School District and everything that you're doing to, either taxpayers or families that aren't in your schools, it's great to have this information so that we can really, in this understanding, so that we can give this supportive, stance about everything that's going on in our district. So thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Sean. Anybody else? Okay, so we're on to our committee discussions. Quick update from facilities. Sean? No? Announcement? You're good?
Just on behalf of the facilities committee, I've had for the past 2 years had the pleasure of working with Dave and everything that he's brought, to our conversations, his knowledge, like however many decades you worked in the school district. But I think one thing that stands out, like certainly the knowledge about, everything from a facilities standpoint and the ongoings in our school district, but your demeanor, the way that you handle yourself, like you just don't get excited, like I get excited, like, or I get caught up in things, or Jabber can get excited too, but your professionalism and your demeanor and just what type of person you are, I really appreciate it, and definitely going to be missed. So thanks for everything you've done.
Great. Thank you. Next is the consent agenda. We have 4 items I'd like to group together, please. So if I can have a motion for consent agenda items A through D.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Julie. Any discussion on items A through D? Okay, having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. We next have personnel. So we have 2 administrative staff recommendations. So I'm going to group A and B together. If I can have a motion, please.
Move it.
Thank you, Sean. Is there a second? Thank you, Sean. Any discussion on personnel items A and B? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have professional staff recommendations. There are a number of them. This is items C through I. So if we can have a motion for professional staff recommendation items C through I, please. Thank you, Kristen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next, we have probably even more support staff recommendations and extra compensatory position recommendations. These are personnel items J through V. If I can have a motion for items J through V.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, David. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Julie. Any discussion on the support staff and extra compensatory recommendations?
I have a question.
Yes.
Relative to, I guess it would be R and us. And it doesn't, obviously, it doesn't have to be answered now, but I just wanted to get more information. First of all, I'm very happy and appreciate Cindy getting these positions filled or recommended well in advance so that our varsity coaches can prepare our student athletes for summer leagues and things like this. I know that this has not been the case in this school district for many, many years, so thank you for doing that. But the question is, I'd like to learn more about how we look at teams and assistant coaches needed versus assistant coaches not needed. And how do we define that so that we can be able to explain that, or certainly we send people to you for clarification on that. But at some point, I'd like to understand how we look at that landscape and what we need to do, or the justification with, you know, head coaches and assistant coaches.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Anybody else? Okay, so if all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Then we have the last three are employment agreements. If I can have a motion for agenda items W through Y, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, David. Is there a second? Thank you, Sean. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next, we have finance, and I'm going to put all of them together, it looks like. Items A through F. So if I can have a motion for finance items A through F, please.
I'll move it.
Thank you, Sean. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Discussion? Okay, having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next up, student representative, Amanda.
I don't have anything new, but I just wanted to say thank you for having me, and it was really an honor to be here this year.
Thank you. It was a pleasure having you here. And enjoy your summer and college experience and everything else. All right, items from the board. Kristen?
A couple things. I went to the sports awards. It was a great event put on, collaboration of the boosters and Cindy. I would love it if we could have even more kids there. I'm sure that Cindy and the boosters had the same reaction as well. You know, it's tough because seniors have jobs and they have lots of commitments and they can't all necessarily be there. But one thing I noticed was that there's underclassmen who got coaching awards and things like that. And I don't know if they didn't know they were getting them or didn't appreciate that they should come. But it would be nice if they got people to clap for them too and didn't just read about it later. So there was a lot of underclassmen who were acknowledged for being integral parts on their teams. So certainly congratulations to all of them. Also, I wanted to thank the boosters for the elementary track meet. I could hear it when I was working from home at my house since I live right behind the middle school. And my daughter volunteered, so I was kind of in the parking lot a couple times. And I know that the elementary kids have so much fun. And there's a lot of parents that are supporting. But to me, the coolest thing about it is in a district with all these elementary schools, it brought all the kids together who don't necessarily come together, especially if they're not in some sort of an organized sports or something where they're on teams with other kids. So it's really great for them to connect with kids from other elementary schools. Lastly, I wanted to personally thank and congratulate Jim and Dave. The past 2 years that I've been on the school board, I'm not necessarily sure I knew what to expect. I certainly did not know either one of them before I joined the board. It has been my absolute pleasure and privilege to get to know both of them as board members, as people, as members of our community. They each brought something so important to this district. Sean already mentioned that Dave has this tremendous facilities knowledge and history of why we do a lot of things. And Jim is the consummate professional. He has so many years of education behind him. He's so invested in making our district as good as it can be and as strong as it can be in the educational setting. I know that they're both retiring for different reasons, but it is absolutely our loss that they're not going to be sitting here at the table with us anymore. And I certainly hope that I will continue to have opportunities to interact with them because I've so enjoyed the past 2 years and getting to know them. And
I personally think they're friends of mine. I hope they think the same of me. So congratulations, thank you. Don't be strangers. And you've done so much for this district, so I hope that you know how much you're appreciated.
Thank you, Kristen. Anybody else?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Tom.
I can only echo what both Sean and Kristen have said. Thank you, David, for your years of service beyond with the district prior to that, and then everything you have brought with that institutional knowledge. But again, echoing what Sean said, the demeanor that you brought to it, and it's been great having you here. Thank you. And Jim, it seems like only how many years ago now? 5 years ago when we were sitting in the cafeteria and you were up asking questions, and Sam Tripp and I were there, and we said, you should run for the board. And sucker that you were, you did. But I am so glad that you did. I am so glad for everything that you brought to this district, your professionalism, your scientist's mind, to be inquisitive, to ask those questions. It has been an honor for me as well to serve with you and to sit next to you and learn so much from you. So thank you very much, and I concur with Kristen that I hope we are all still friends and that continues on. And thank you very much.
Any other items from board members this evening? Okay. Next is, there is a need for an executive session for the matters of the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, and there will not be a need for a vote afterwards. So if I can have a motion to move to executive, please.
I like the motion.
Thank you, David. Is there a second?
Dave will second it.
I'll take that from
Second.
Sean then. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Have a good evening, everybody.